And welcome in, everybody, once again to Kufleitner Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram right here in Boardman for another edition of our Coach's Corner with Andy Hake. And we are joined by a very special guest, a guy that your adrenaline probably – I can't believe he's drinking coffee right now because the adrenaline's still got to be going through the roof. Kenny Harris of West Branch. Coach, thanks for joining us here today. We appreciate you making the trip all the way from the branch.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Let's start with both of you guys last week. Coach, obviously both of you got victories. Coach, let's start with you. From a standpoint, EOAC matchup, your final week of the season, regular season, week 10, playing on the East Palestine Bulldogs. You got a big victory there. You're playing a younger team. Your guys got kind of a tune-up going into week 11. Talk to me about your focus going into that game, knowing that there's a pretty good chance you're going to walk away with a dub.
Well, first of all, it's an honor to be here with you, Coach, and I'm going to be very quick with mine because I was at this game.
Oh, we both were.
We were both at the game, and Sebo Stadium. I actually went with Bob Sebo to the game, and we were in the press box, and I had the best seat in the house to watch it, and it was an all-timer. And I'll just touch up on my game, and then we can get to this game because that was like one of the funnest high school football games I was at in a long time. Just a rivalry game, and it was very, pageantry.
I second that. Yep.
Guys, the fan base was great. It was a throwback. It was because, since this COVID stuff, you haven't had the fan base. We talked about it last week with Yeagley. We haven't had these great fan bases, and some of the mystique of the crowds have been down. And then, Hubbard and South Range had a big crowd last week. And this game for sure was everything that you would want to see a rivalry be. And Coach, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
That was an all-timer, man. Yeah. And, just being at these games since I was a kid, watching high school football games. I remember one time at a state championship game, just to touch on this, Mogador played St. Henry.
Okay.
It was 1996 or 97. Chuck Moore was the running back for Mogador.
Yeah.
And they go to the state championship game, and at halftime, I believe it was 35-3.
Yeah.
And St. Henry's winning. And it was at Massillon. And it was a state championship game. I mean, there was Hoying boys playing, I think, at Ohio State. There was some cousins or brothers. And big line. And Mogador had a boy named Thompson, was also a wrestler, little skinny guy, and Chuck Moore. Chuck blew his ACL out. I was 16 years old. I remember going to this game.
Yeah.
It was 35-3 at halftime. And I was saying, come on, Dad, let's go to the games were back and forth from Massillon to McKinley.
I
said, let's go to McKinley for the next one. He says, let's hang around for a little bit, son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the better angels of his nature were right. Mogador comes back, wins the game 61-58 in triple overtime.
Oh, wow.
Now, you know what? That's what it's all about, and I think that was the best high school football game I've ever seen. This one was in the top 5.
1A. To me, that was the best one I've ever seen.
It was really in the top 5. It really was, and I just mentioned that game because, when you watch so many games over the years, and you're a part of so many games, and someone says, hey, what's the best game? And you go, wow, there's a few of them that are.
Yeah, well, that Mogador-Henry game would be my talk. That was unbelievable.
Did you see that
game?
Yeah.
Wasn't
that an all-timer?
Yeah, and I was with Coach Lout, and we weren't going anywhere.
It was.
We're not going over to McKinley.
I remember, and it was crazy because, at halftime, St. Henry, they won the game as far as their fan base was concerned.
Yeah.
But Mogador, and I remember Chuck Moore had a blown ACL, so he only came. Hey, Mogador went for it on fourth down every play. And I don't mean to talk about this game that much, but when you think to yourself, the greatest games. I remember McKinley played St. Ignatius in the Rubber Bowl one time when Tom McDaniels was the coach, and they ended up winning the state championship, and he won it at the very end. And it was a couple crazy plays. Just was there for that. And then this game was one of the greatest games I ever saw. Just a battle of teams' wills, and both teams played so hard in that game. They really did. And whoever won the game, I know a lot of times you say there was no losers, but there was no losers in that game. Everybody left it on the field. The crowds were amazing, and congratulations. Awesome. To be a part of something like that, had to be fun.
Oh, it was fun, yeah.
Yeah. On our game, just real quick, I just wanted to say that real quick because you don't see games like that all the time. Especially, you just don't see crowds like that all the time. And everything has to line up perfect, and it did. Yeah. But our game on Friday, we played East Palestine. They're a younger team. They were game for us. Yeah. They played real hard. We were able to get an advantage on them, and our kids play real hard. And you know what? It was a playoff atmosphere for us. We had, as far as we were concerned, we had to win the game and to get in. And our kids played, violent in the first half, and then, we just ran the ball really in the second half and try to get out of there. Coach Foster does a good job. He has young kids right now. When you have young kids, you do the best you can. And you try to teach them fundamentals and the most important things of the game, learning, how to play hard even when there's adversity and things aren't going well. And they play hard. They're a young team. He's going to do well. He's going to do well as time goes by, but he just needs a few years to mature with those kids. But now we play Cuyahoga Heights this week, and their coach is an all-timer, Al Martin. He's been to state championship games. He's rode the cusp of a couple of them to win it. I remember Marion Local. He almost beat Kirtland. He has. I played him when I was at reserve twice. He has all-time teams, man. He has some great teams, and I think when you play someone like that, you're not just playing the team or you're playing the coach, because he's going to get the most out of his kids, and he's going to have them believing. So we're going to have to really play well. We can't shoot ourselves in the foot.
No.
And we're game, though. We're confident about it. And it's not being arrogant or conceited, but if you're not going to be confident in the game going into it, what are you doing?
Exactly.
So our guys are gunned up. They want to play. They want to beat them. But we're just going to have to play a sound game.
So from your standpoint, I mean, not the greatest draw, but it is what it is. It's an algorithm now. It's not we're going to match this guy and this guy. 1-16, you sit there, you're on the road a little bit. Do you feel like, and I'll ask you the same question, even though you're going to be home for the majority, hopefully, of the region, you sit there, is it easier from your standpoint to be able to control the controllables when you're on a bus and it's a business trip? You guys pack up, and when you set foot, on the road, boom, you're going.
I just think when you get to the playoffs, first of all, it's an honor. It's not, and I'm not downing the other sports, but in basketball, volleyball, baseball, everybody's invited.
Yep.
And football is something special. We've talked about this. You're not welcomed in this playoff. Mm-hmm. You're not welcome. Even like, hey, congratulations, you made it. Yeah, great. And then it's like, that's who you're playing. And it's not a welcoming thing. And, unless you win the state championship, you're going to lose.
Yep.
And the big thing is this. You play this season. If you're lucky enough to make the playoffs, you get a chip in a chair. And everybody is 0-0. The season seeded you. Now, you're 0-0. You're going to go play a team. That's good. And even if you have an advantage of that team, you win the next week. It is what it is. Eventually, you don't have the advantage no more.
Yeah.
You don't have the better whatever. Whether it's a skill player, everybody has skill players. Everybody has a couple linemen now. Now it becomes complete teams. Now it becomes stop the run.
Yep.
Can you run the ball a little bit? Now we talked about Ben Mock and having a dynamic passer, and you guys have a dynamic passer, and that's part of your game. But when it gets out like this, starts raining, you got to be able to run the ball a little bit.
Yep.
Luckily, you can run the ball. I watched Mara and I watched your quarterback. They're runners, and you can do that. But when you're just emptying it out, throwing it, and you can't stop the run, I just think the high school playoffs, in Ohio especially, becomes very difficult to win games. And I mean, Coach, what do you think about that?
Well, no, I'm completely agree. I mean, that's, you can't be just one-dimensional. You're going to eventually run into somebody that's going to match that dimension with you. If you run the ball, you're going to face a good D-line. If you throw the ball solo, you're going to face somebody that's got good athletes in the secondary and just man you up and bring the house and stuff. So you're going to run into somebody eventually down the road that's going to be able to match what your dimension is. So, yeah, you have to have a complete team. And then one other thing is, it's a lot of attrition going.
Yes.
I mean, you've just played a 10-game season. How's your, how healthy are you?
That's a big deal, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
That really is a big deal. I mean, a lot of teams, especially smaller schools, you get a guy banged up. Even bigger schools, you get the wrong guy get banged up.
Yeah.
It changes the whole complexity of the team, the whole outlook of things. And
well, let's not forget that the season technically didn't start earlier, but the workouts did. So these guys have been working out since June-ish, you know what I mean? And the body can only take so much. You get to and then the seasons start changing. The season's changed a little bit later this year, so it got a little bit colder, and now the guys have to adjust. And people don't realize when that weather changes, the bodies don't adjust as quickly as the minds do, right? You know it's going to be cold, but your body's not really prepared for those hard. We sat there. You were in the box, and I was on the sideline. Some of those hits, Coach, my goodness. I mean, both teams wanted it. And even in the replay yesterday, we had 400 and some people watching the replay of that instant classic, and they were saying that was a man's hit. You know, these are sometimes 14-year-old kids getting hit by an 18-year-old. That's a man's head.
Yeah.
We talked about some injuries and some nicks and some bruises off the camera that happened early on, but your kids. In the 50th edition of West Branch versus Salem, they showed up, they showed out. Both teams did.
Yeah, it was, that's like what Coach Hake said, that's what rivalry football is. I mean, and then, it was just, I guess I haven't had a lot of chance to process it because you're on your way home and you're looking to see, okay, who's at 16? We got to get film. And you start processing all the stuff that has to happen this weekend, But then I got home. And my wife's there, and all the people that were at the game, and you kind of get their perspective.
Yeah.
And it was there was some good hits. Salem, we got their best game. They really, it was it was
a larger than life.
Yeah,
that's how it feels like.
Yeah,
it's larger than life.
You were involved in something way bigger than what you are. And
true.
I think that's what the players got out of that. This is Salem West Branch. This is the 50th game. This is way bigger than anybody that's on the field right now. And
sure.
with both crowds, but both communities really showing their support and stuff. And, it was just a special night. It really was. And it takes a while to look back at that because you got to get out of that coach's mind of preparing for the next one. And we've had a chance to appreciate that in the last couple of days. So
what's unbelievable to me, and I asked you off the air because I had to ask you. The first question was, when that happened, when that went down, in overtime, you were going for two the whole time.
Yeah, when we wanted to obviously win the toss, and that's we were 1 for 10 in coin tosses this year.
Wow.
We won one coin flip in 10 games. So
that's amazing.
Did you go against tails or
no? So Steve Marr is going out for the coin toss for the extra point. He goes, Coach, what should I call? And I said, Steve, you can't lose another one.
Yep.
I said, just statistically, you're going to win this one. I said, call whatever you want.
That's a great story.
So he goes out and we win the toss. So we get to go on defense first. But pretty much after they scored, I just with Coach Cooper, I said, dial one up, have one ready. When we score, we're going to go for two. So that was the plan. If we score, we're going to go for two.
Trips, he motioned the inside guy across and then back across, and you guys ran a draw or ISO.
It was the same. Was it the same play twice? Because they called a timeout.
No, we ran it. It was a sprint out pass the first time, and they called timeout, and I think we scored on that. Then the second one was just an ISO play.
Okay, ISO, that's what it was.
You cross-blocked the guard and the tackle and laid through at the full. It wasn't Woody Hayes ISO.
No.
But it was modern-day ISO. You laid through the fullback
and
quarterback run. So, it was an ISO play.
And they called that timeout. The play went off, and our announcers were incredibly upset because the referees let them play it out to the goal line on that play where Drew goes in, and from our camera angle, he was still in.
Yeah.
But the referees let him play out. I maybe as not a football guy, there could have been some bad things that happened during that play that cost it. I mean, why don't they stop that play?
Well,
was it a late timeout?
I ran out on the field with my hands up thinking that we had scored there.
Yeah.
The sideline official came over, and I was like, well, we ran the play.
Yeah, that's what I was confused.
But, I think maybe the crowd noise and whatever,
gotcha.
And, getting it in time and things like that. But, yeah.
So you were going for two the entire time. You said, we got the odds in our favor. I mean, listen, both of those teams, and I said it yesterday on our show, both of these teams are incredibly hard to stop from the 2-yard line.
Right.
Incredibly hard to stop with all the weapons that you have. So you're going for two the entire time. When I got a chance to talk to Drew, right, I couldn't even find you. That's how crazy West Branch was all over Sebo Stadium. When I got Drew, I asked him about it, and he said, I'm getting in. I mean, the confidence of your junior quarterback, and he comes from a great lineage of athletes and West Branch people, obviously. So when you think about this junior quarterback, how special is Drew?
Well, after they scored,
Yeah.
Johnson took it in and went up. When we have like a little bit less than 2 minutes left, it was like, okay, now we got the ball, we can go down and
Hell
score.
of a drive.
He was just like, well, it was set up by Hendershot's kick return.
Mm-hmm.
That got you down to the 50. Now you got a shot. But Drew was just the whole team, they were just, we need the ball back.
Yep.
So and we got it back on that score, and we thought, okay, now we got a shot here.
How about the 2-point catch? Was it the catch in
with Mara? Yeah. So there was a photo that came out. There just happened to be somebody right there on an angle where it was just perfect. And, there was some question whether he caught it or not. But, I mean, when you look at this photo, I mean, it was toes are down, he's extended out, ball's in his hand, and
we'll make sure we put it in production here, in post.
The
We'll put it up.
the official was right there, and thank goodness that the official got it right, because that was a close one to call, and I'm just like, thank goodness he got it right.
That was one of the most
Absolutely.
wild things, because we had fans actually coming up to the official on the other side, yelling at the official, saying it was a bad call. But we saw, I mean, we have the evidence, naturally. We have the video, and now we have that picture where his toes are curled. And one of my close friends that lives in Columbus said, well, if that foot's not down, if that toe's not down, he needs to go to a podiatrist because he's got a problem with his foot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can see it. It's clear as day. One of the best catches I've ever seen in a clutch situation like that.
And
it's good to win. Have one of those down 35-0. That's cool and all.
Right.
But with the season on the line, there it was.
Yeah, pretty good catch for a middle linebacker.
Isn't that something? Really? And
he had a couple of them. Yeah, I mean,
Sure did.
That's and players make plays.
That's it.
And he's a player.
That's it. So. All right, so we're on to week 11, both of you guys. Tell me where the shift up happens. Does it happen immediately after the game? I mean, you already talked about it. Like, you're processing as a coach. You got to get film. You got to get that. How and when do you guys process that and really uptick it with your guys? And do they follow that as quickly? Does your team follow you in your intensity going to week 11?
Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I mean, it was a Saturday night game for us, and we're playing on the playoffs on Friday, so everything's ramped up.
It's reversed, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you get all your work done on the weekends.
Yep.
I mean, and, so we were a day behind, and so the mind starts working right away. And, I mean, there was huddle exchanges going on at like 2:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And that's just when it is, and so you start putting that in play. But, getting the players in the right frame of mind, especially after a game like that, so we had our team meeting yesterday, and it was like, hey, you're always going to have this memory of this game. That's never going to leave you, and that was special. Mm-hmm. Now, let's put it behind us.
Got to move on.
Yeah, because we got a team coming into our place Friday night that beat us 58-55 in Game 10 last year.
That was Cuyahoga Falls? Or Cuyahoga Valley?
Yeah.
CBCA.
CBCA beat us 58-55 last year, Game 10. And that was one of those, at the end of the season, let's play another one type of games. And, we went up there and, we were up on them early. And we had them by close to, I think, 28 points in the second quarter. And they scored right before half.
Got momentum.
And got some momentum, and they were down by 22. And then we came out in the third quarter, and we can play bad when we want to.
Yeah,
I mean? So we just didn't play a very good game.
Momentum's a funny thing.
Yeah, momentum's crazy. Just watch some of the, I'm not a huge baseball fan, but, one of our coaches, Coach Alizos, was, he's a baseball coach and stuff. And I'm like, watching baseball, it's amazing what momentum can do. And just in sports and stuff, you don't have that, everywhere. But the momentum is unbelievable. So, we lost some momentum. They got it. We had a chance to come back and win at the end. But, 113 points in a high school football game. That was nuts.
That doesn't happen very often.
No. So,
I thought the over-under Friday would be over 100 because I thought these teams score. You know what I mean? And but your defenses showed up and played really hard, and a lot of man, a lot of challenging guys, and plays were made, but also the defense on both teams played really well, I felt.
I mean, they Salem stopped us, we were talking earlier, 6 series in a row there at the end of the first half and start the second. So, defense is going to be key coming up in these games. And, the unfamiliarity sometimes is an issue. I think it's good that we played them last year and get a shot at them again Friday. So
and that's the fun. I mean, you have a gauntlet in front of you. Your region is incredible when you look at some of the teams, especially locally here. Some of the teams that you have in there, it's going to be a challenge, and your guys seem to be up to it. But the offense, you talked about it. I would put your offense up against anybody in the state right now, and I think you're still the highest scoring offense in the state. As far as I know, we haven't done the math yet. That usually comes on Wednesday. But tell me about your offense, and naturally, from your standpoint, if you get into a track meet, you feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, we won a track meet.
Yeah.
I mean, because we got those kind of players.
Yeah.
So I think it's the other teams that we play that try to not let it turn into a track meet.
Sure.
They want to be able to hold the ball and pound it and keep us off the field, and things like that. But I think our defense came through when they had to. They actually gave us really good field position Saturday night against Salem, and we didn't take advantage of it. But defense is going to be key. We're facing a team that's going to run the football and just try to run it right down our throats Friday night, and our defense has to rise to the occasion. So that's going to tell a lot. But yeah, we want a track meet if we can get it, but we got a grass field, and they're calling for I think maybe a hurricane coming through or something.
One from each side.
Yeah, but so we're going to get some rain. We'll have a sloppy field, but we got some mudders too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll be okay, I think.
So
we can run it.
When you look at a home field advantage, your fans are unbelievable. I've never seen fans like yours just so supportive, so crazy. Before the 2-point conversion on Saturday night, the entire student section came out of the stands and were ready to run on.
Somebody was running on the field because I was up top and I saw your fans and then Salem's fans, and I thought someone's going to be on the field and someone's going to be disappointed.
Right.
Yeah. If Salem won, that place would have burned down. They would have lit the town on fire. But from your standpoint, it was like your kids knew it was going to happen. They were right down there with you when Drew got in. It was like the cannons were going off and everything. But your kids were on the field. That was impressive to me. Talk about the support in West Branch of just the entire community.
Well, it's a really large school district. The old Ponderosa Park out there on Route 45, that's close to Case West or Western Reserve Road. Mm-hmm. That's West Branch School District, that corner.
Oh, wow.
And it goes all the way down to past Mounts Road near Minerva. So if you're talking about diagonally, it's a huge school district, and we don't have any big towns. We have. There's Homeworth and Beloit, and some small little towns with a red light, or a 4-way stop. So to have that big of a area be able to come together and support like that is really amazing. And one of the things that's happened the last couple of years is our little Warriors. We had them there a couple of weeks ago for a Friday night to have them at the game, and there's like 115 players and coaches involved in that.
That's awesome.
7th and 8th grade numbers are good, and we were able to field a freshman team this year. So, to be able to have that large of a geographical area, be able to, show the support and want to play the game of football and stuff for West Branch, that's huge, So it's a special place. It really is. We've had our issues, economically and so forth and things, but they love sports.
Yes.
And especially if you're winning, they're going to get behind you. And we had 3 fire trucks in front of the lead bus, and we had 3 fire trucks behind the last bus, taking us down 62, and signs and parents all along the way. It was. They were getting ready for the state championship game,
sure.
I think.
I got a question, Coach, for you, because you know what, when you got there, and it was years I was at Western Reserve. West Branch was down for West Branch, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean that they're a proud tradition. That place has a proud tradition, and the years that I was at Reserve, they weren't as dominant, and they weren't as relevant. And it's not a knock on the kids or the coaches. I guess my question to you is, other than players, because we know you have to have some chicken to make chicken soup.
Oh, yeah.
But what did you do? This is always something like I'm intrigued to know. What did you do to help turn that around? Because that is a proud place.
No, well, I graduated from there back in '83, a long time ago, and I played for Coach Lout, and then I got a chance to coach with him, and then I coached with Coach Altenhoff when he was the head coach.
Great coach.
I helped out, where I could, and was an assistant, and then with DJ, you learn something from everybody,
Mm-hmm.
So.
And DJ's a good coach.
Oh yeah, and it's tremendous enthusiasm. He was just, he was just a fireball every day, and really respect him. And I don't think that. For me, I think you have to be who you are.
Yep.
And for me, I'm a school counselor there, and I'm from the community, and I think that sort of, I just try to really, I knew the kids, you know.
A lot of the families, probably.
Yeah, a lot of families, which can be good and bad. Okay, but I don't know if there was any one thing that we did in particular, but I think that culture is a big word in our world now, and I think that was something we had to work with, and and I think the players, and then I got, hate to even say the word I, but our staff is excellent. I mean, we got a really good couple young coaches, and then we got a couple older coaches, myself included, and it's almost like fathers and sons.
Yep.
And we're one big family, and sometimes families, can rub you the wrong way. But these guys all get along really well, and Coach Altna's been around for years. Excellent, just super prepared all the time. And then Coach Cooper, Coach Hake.
Him.
I mean, he's tremendous. I mean, just, and I think finding the right system to fit our players, both offensively and defensively, and Coach Devanza with special teams, everybody does a great job. But I think it's the players. I mean, we'll lift at 6 a.m, and Steve Maher is a wrestler, and a good wrestler,
very good wrestler,
super good wrestler. But there's an example of somebody that's in the weight room at 6 a.m. because he can't be there afterwards because he's got wrestling practice.
It seems like you brought in a sense of heroic belonging, and it's and you know what I like. And I don't say it like it wasn't there. It's almost like making kids remember, hey, the Warrior's not dead. Yeah. The Warrior's not dead. And right now, the Warrior seems to be as live as ever, And it's good to see West Branch because coming from being a reserve, those are country folk.
Yep.
And that's God's country. They believe in the Lord. They believe in they believe in community. They believe in family. They believe in school. They believe in guns.
And they stand up for what they believe in.
Damn right
which
they do.
Which is what I
Damn
love.
Right
a couple years ago they had all that about praying before the game, and we believe in that stuff at YSN. It's God, family, and country. That's what it is.
We go by GFGF at our place.
GFGF.
God, family, grades, football.
Love it.
And we try to keep it in perspective. And that's kind of a simple slogan we go by. And GFGF is, just keep it in perspective. You know what I mean? But
you talked about culture, Coach. What type of culture is there at West Branch? And I know there's going to be a lot of people that are interested in this because, we've heard so much about it. But inside that locker room, what kind of culture is there?
No, I was one of the things I wanted them to know was the history of West Branch. So it was always like, I'd always kind of joke around, well, this is, Coach Harris story time, and we'd tell stories of, what it was like before. And, the Hake family, I mean, Jeff and Jim and John and Clinton was our first school superintendent. The stadium's named after him. They're a huge part of West Branch history. And, and Jason Candle up at Toledo. So we've got guys in the college ranks and major positions, that are West Branch grads, and a lot of kids didn't know that.
Yep.
So we gave them a quiz, and it was,
that's awesome.
My daughter made one up, and we played a game with it at preseason, and it was like 15 questions, and just all a bunch of questions about the history of football, and a lot of them didn't know that we played at Salem to begin, and. These coaches. I mean, we got the defensive coordinator at Iowa State, one of the best defenses in the nation. Is a West Branch grad. Kids didn't.
That's a great little thing doing history. I'm a history teacher, but I think when you understand history, you have a better sense of just your surroundings. It gives you a better sense of this heroic belonging you're a part of something bigger than yourself.
Exactly. I was just going to say that you realize from looking at that there's something bigger out there than you are.
It's awesome.
And that's, and you respect that,
Damn right.
So it's special when they put that Arrowhead on a Friday night or a Saturday night. I thought it was really great because, listen, we were there front row when you guys came. The buses got there. We were doing our pregame show. Just the culture of the fans. I mean, screaming for kids positively, as they're on the field. And it was so cool to see because in this world we live in, negative news gets the headlines. Yeah. And constantly I'm seeing West Branch people just want to support their kids. They want support for their kids. They want coverage for their kids. obviously we're loving you at YSN because every week we're getting unbelievable ratings, but it's because of that culture that you've helped create and helped reinstall into West Branch. Talk to me about the people from all over the country that are watching you on YSN on Friday nights.
Yeah, I think we've got a guy that recently graduated. It's over in Ireland, and I can watch it on YSN.
That's that guy. I found him.
My daughter lives in Columbia, South Carolina, and she's a West Branch grad, and
That's awesome.
Was our Warrior Princess and stuff, and her husband was the Warrior Chief. And
Wow,
they're
that's
watching YSN. They were camping last year, and we're watching it at the picnic table.
That's awesome.
And we had our first granddaughter.
Congratulations.
Wednesday night.
Congratulations.
So she was, they're at home Friday night or Saturday night with, our granddaughter watching the game on YSN. So
look at Papa, huh?
Right. So this brings some things to people that you couldn't do before.
It's unbelievable. I love YSN, and this is one good thing about technology now. It brings to life. You pick up where like the Vindicator left off in the papers, and because of this streaming and all this stuff, for so long, just talking to Sebo during the game, he told me there used to be 15,000 people at these games, all of them, Andy, because they didn't have the internet. They didn't.
Right.
They just had the newspaper, and they would read about either they were at the game or they read about the game afterwards.
Yeah.
And you think about that, and you go, what? Everybody in town did go to the games back then.
Right.
The crowds were huge.
My cousin lived right behind Riley Stadium, the street right behind, and I can remember going into his house when I was 6 and 7, climbing up the brick wall, sitting on a brick wall watching Salem play football.
That's awesome.
And you look down and it was like everybody in town was there. So.
That's awesome. You guys are able to bring this to people, and
Love it.
And the heroes come to life. I always credit the media for bringing the heroes to life on these teams. They give us our heroes. The Shields boy. They become heroes. They become larger in life because of the way they play a game. But it means a lot to the communities, and the media is able to bring these people to us, to coaches.
I love the game, so don't get me wrong, but this is my favorite because you get to talk about the kids, you get to talk about the stories of why it's so special on Friday nights for you. I mean, that's great, but there's always storylines that people don't necessarily get, and that's why it's so exciting. I mean, I can only imagine the bubble guts is what we call them that you had on Saturday night, knowing that everything you did, and you want to talk about the ultimate chess match. That's something that is used. I feel like overly used in this day and age. That was a chess match on Saturday.
A lot.
That was a chess match. It was okay. What are they going to do? I mean, just the timeouts alone. I'm sitting on the sideline. I'm like, oh my goodness. You got Ron John down here waiting for a timeout and calling a timeout. You're on the other side, waving your hands because you think the guy got in. Chess match, is it exhausting? Like, how good did you sleep on Saturday night, or was it not at all?
What do you think, Coach?
I saw you after the game. I took Bob down there and his wife, and and he wanted to go down and say hello to a couple of your players because he knew some families. And they were having such a good time. Your kids taking pictures.
Yeah.
And I didn't even want to bother you. It was after a big game. I just wanted to say congratulations. But I just watched you, and he said, "You look like." You turned and said, "Hey, we got to go back to Beloit at some time."
Yeah, right.
Guys, we got to go back to Beloit at some time. And I talked to Cooper for a moment, and they looked like they actually went through a battle.
Yeah.
I mean, Cooper was like, I talk usually with a raspy voice. My man Cooper was beat. And I said, ha, ha, ha. I pointed to him, ha, ha, ha. Is this fun? Is this what you wanted when you wanted to start coaching football? And afterwards, it's real fun. It really is. And then when you look back at it, it was fun during it. But, boy, it's nerve-wracking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's nerve-wracking. Yep. And I think the real big thing for me is the gratification afterwards when you look back at it with the boys and the coaches and say, we rode in the high command and did that with them. And whether you're going to win something like that, you're going to lose something like that.
Right.
But we rode in the high command, and we did that. And we brought the people that game. And even Coach Johnson, he did a hell of a job in the game.
Oh, that was
His
tremendous.
son's a heck of a player. Those other guys, 24.
X-line.
X-line, tremendous
Brock
player.
They played their butt off, and you know what? They brought that game to you.
X-Line almost had a career game. I didn't realize he had 17, 18 catches.
I never saw him live until then, and I went
fast.
Yeah,
wow.
He's the real deal.
Oh my gosh! And you have a couple guys that are the real deal. You really do. You got a guy got banged up a couple week ago, and he was a heck of a player during the year for you. I can't remember his name.
Jed. Smith.
Yes.
Yeah, actually.
Unfortunate.
My thoughts are with him this morning because he's actually going through surgery right now.
God bless him.
As we speak.
I mean it, because he was a tough guy.
Yeah.
He was a good player for you.
Yeah.
Last X's and O's question I have for you. You go through a 10-0 season. What's the best part? What's the part you're going to remember for the rest of your life?
The best part is just being able to be a part of it.
It's fair enough.
I mean, just that you had a part in something like that was that the community could appreciate, that the kids you gave the kids, you were able to help the kids experience something like that, and the coaches.
Yeah.
That's something Coop's never going to forget.
Never.
I mean, so just to
and
be
it's
able
a weapon. It's like a weapon that you use with experience as you go on, and you say, I can do this again.
Yeah.
We can do this again.
Yeah.
Just being a reserve, the first time we made the state semifinals, there was a community party after at the season when it was over. And then you finally get a chance to look back. Because when you're in it, it's like you just said, when you're in it,
right.
It's like that snow globe or whatever it is. You shake it up and you're in it.
Right.
I just think for myself, it was practice. I loved being at practice with the guys. And then there was that sense of, look what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's not an arrogant thing. It was, hey, this is special.
Right.
And when you're 6-0, 7-0, it's not the 10-0. It's the doing it.
Right.
It's the journey.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It's the journey. It's that.
Hey, can we really do this?
Yeah.
Can we really do I remember being 9-0 when we played a 9-0 Southern. And Marion Local lost twice. So if we won that game, we were the AP state champs.
Yeah.
And I remember telling our guys, hey, look, this is a chance of a lifetime. Massillon has 22 state titles. Here's a chance to get one. And I know it's not on the field. You still got to play the playoff. But at the end of the year, for the AP to say, we think you're the best team in the state. You still got to play it out.
It's pretty impressive.
But it was like, and you know what? Southern was darn good. But our guys, I just remember getting them up for it so much. And we ended up beating them 49-3. And they had a good team. They had a great team. But, it meant so much to our guys to go out there and play that that was the greatest moment during the season, right before that game, because it meant so much to be a part of that. It was like a holy mission to get that done. And then when the playoffs happen, you do the best you can. You got a chip in a chair.
Right.
And then you know what? You tell your guys, either we're going to win the state championship, or at some point, it'll be one of the most disappointing things all year.
Well, like you said earlier, everybody's going to lose except for the state champion.
And it's tough to look at it like that, especially when you're 10-0, because it's like, at some point, this is going to be over.
Yeah.
And that's why I missed practice. I just missed practice, and I'm so glad I'm back in coaching because of practice.
Yeah.
I just like practice. I like going there with the guys and hanging out at the boys' club. And America is so different today, and I only want to get into left and right, but it's so different today than even when I was growing up in the 80s.
Yeah.
So you could have another perspective, another 15, 20 years before that and say, oh, it's completely different than that.
Yeah, it's the ability to focus is really a challenge right now. And I see that also with
That's a good way to put
not
it.
just on the field, but even with the students in the classroom.
Distractions everywhere.
There's distractions everywhere. And there's Tim Kites, one of a speaker that I listen to a lot that talks about like culture development and stuff. And he says, you have to be careful what you give your attention to, because something might get your attention, but it doesn't mean that it's worthy of your attention.
That's great.
And just having the kids have the ability to focus on the task at hand is a challenge today. That's the biggest difference I see, by looking back at things. Now, I could be wrong.
You're not.
I mean,
no, you're spot on.
You're not, man.
But just there's just so many distractions right now.
There's distraction and there's opportunity.
Right.
I was just reading about it this morning, and they said, there's opportunity everywhere with technology, what we have, but there's also distraction, and you have to choose which path you want to go down, because it can take you away from your family, it can take you away from your friends, your job, everything, but it can also enhance what you do on a daily basis. What we do with YSN, we couldn't do it 25 years ago.
Right.
There's no chance. But we saw an opportunity, and other people see distraction. Now, some people get distracted and watch YSN. I'm okay with that as long as we get the ratings. But one of the things I'm most excited, and we'll have our off the field discussion here. The last question, we like to do a little off the wall. We'll keep it a little bit tighter today. You guys are on completely different ends of the spectrum when it comes to, just just your energy levels. I mean, you're very low key, and Andy is bouncing off walls. So my question to you, we talked about chess matches, and I heard a rumor that you were a Carnegie Mellon grad. So talk to me about how you keep the axe sharp, so to speak, how you stay competitive, things of that, because I think we're going to get two different answers here.
I guess I've really never analyzed how I try to stay competitive. It's just got to be it's got to be a fabric of who you are. I'm a lineman. That might be the difference.
That could be
most of the time, offensive linemen are kind of like, I mean, I had a chance after Carnegie Mellon. I worked for the Steelers for a year in the scouting department.
Oh, wow.
I was an intern there, and Mike Webster, he grew up. I was, he was my idol. I mean, he was the center of the Steelers, and Mike Webster drove a red Ford truck, and he literally carried a coffee, canteen into the stadium. And that's the way he wore jeans and a flannel shirt. And that's the way he was. And that's, I think that you have that mentality sort of, that's just who you are. Now skill guys, I call them the glove wearers. I kind of make fun of them at practice and stuff. I said, okay, all the linemen up on this field, everybody with gloves on, you go down there with Coach Cooper now and stuff. But, I guess that's just, and who I played for. I learned a lot from those guys. Coach Klausing was kind of a Western PA legend. He's passed away now, but he was always just about being focused and doing what you were coached, and being ready for the games and being prepared. And I think that's kind of the way that I just approach things. And I mean, there's a lot of emotion there, but sometimes it's maybe hidden, not on purpose. Kind of more of an introvert.
Sounds like you're well read. I mean, you read books.
I read. I like to read.
Yeah.
I like history books. One of the best books you'll ever read is The Perfect Pass, Coach. If you ever get a chance to read it, it's about Hal Mumme and how they started the air raid, and everything like that. Great book. Cooper and I read it together. And we'll read, Mike Leach's books and things like that, and football books.
Pirate.
Yeah, Swing Your Sword, stuff like that. So, but I don't know. I guess I've never really analyzed that. It's just, competition is just part of who you are, and it expresses itself in different ways. Just because I'm quiet or, whenever, I don't know if I am, because I'll get on the kids just harder than anybody will. But I just think it's part of who you are. I don't think you can be somebody that you're not.
Right.
And I think you have to reserve for myself. I think I got 5 in my hand, and I got to be careful how I use these for the season. And if you're like that every day, it's not who I am.
Authenticity.
So, right, authenticity. So that's if I'm just yelling and screaming at them and just jacked up every day, then it's not me.
Yep.
But other people do it, and they're great at it. And one of them pretty well.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Cooper does that for us. I mean, he's the guy that's going to go out there and just.
He learned from a crazy man.
Well, I mean, you think that? I mean, he must have a dozen coffees before he comes out to practice, because the guy's just got so much.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's got so much. Yeah, he's got so much energy. So I don't need it with him there.
No, right. It's great to have guys that are like that too, because then you can be reserved sometimes and be more analytical.
Yeah.
Other than being a crazy person.
Yeah.
Are you the crazy person?
You know what?
No, he's going to.
I'm going to say this.
Dial it down. I've heard it.
At practice, and my thought is, I love working with young people.
Absolutely.
My mother and father were teachers, special education, 35 years each. My dad taught 45 years. Being around young people, I've been around young people my whole life.
Yep.
And I love the game of football. I love what it does to help build people's character. And I coach a certain way that I wouldn't tell everybody to coach like that. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say, hey, coach, there's times you got to be who you are.
Right.
Yep.
And I think when it comes down to it, it's what you just said, authenticity, be who you are. I wouldn't tell everybody to go out there on an 11 every day. I think there's something to be said about. You need a couple guys like that.
I feel like a good staff has guys like you and guys like you together.
100%.
Right.
Because you have guys like him on your staff as well to keep you in check sometimes.
No. And you have to tell them, hey, man, if I ever get really nuts,
Scale it back.
Like, you know, and I've been able to curb my enthusiasm when it comes to language as the years went by, because we are at a different time. Well, you got to watch what you're saying, and I'll never quit coaching because of kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
I will never quit coaching, because I'll coach till I die, because I love being around young people. There's other factors involved, and I'm not going to say, oh, it's parents. There's times it is parents.
Yeah.
And there's times that it is administration. I'll say it. You know what I mean? I live in a real world with real people and real problems.
That's it.
And sometimes it is community members.
Yep.
But do you really love being around the kids? And if that's what it is, then curb those things and don't focus on that. You know what I mean? Because parents love their children, number one.
Yep.
And they want what's best for their kids.
Yep.
So you can't be mad at a parent that wants what's best for their kids. They don't care about the team like you do. They
No.
care about their kid.
But you have all those kids that you want the best for all of them.
And that's your Papa Bear. So you got
Right.
you got to love them all a certain way and
Yep.
push the team when they want to. And I understand that the administration doesn't want problems.
Yep.
They don't want problems.
Right.
The community wants to win.
Yep.
There's all these factors, and then you as the coach
Have to do all of
what's
it.
the most important thing, and that is focus on the kids getting better. Focus on
Growth.
their mental outlook, their growth, their temper expectations with team goals, and that's fun to me. And getting on guys at just going to practice and watching kids get better.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a sickness, and it's also that's why I love football. I love it because of that. I love coaching guys. Now at the same time, you have to have a guy or two curbing somebody's enthusiasm
Or
once in a
ramping
while.
somebody up.
Or cranking it up. And I don't need cranked up much, but
No.
I don't. But at the same
He's
time,
drinking that coffee. I'm nervous.
I'll tell you what, you have some great coaches. You have anybody I know on your staff I thought does a great job. And you know what, that goes a lot for the kids getting better.
Yeah.
And I just want to congratulate you. Hey, 10-0 is special.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to do it. And people that say, oh, you're going to be 10-0 this year, that is so hard to predict that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you could maybe say we're going to have a winning season.
So
We're going
many
to win more
variables.
games. We're 8-2, 7-3, 9-1. We might, but to say we're going to win them all.
Yeah.
You saw it against Salem. Man,
Oh.
people throw their best
Oh,
haymakers
yeah.
at you.
You're going to get their best game.
And,
Yeah.
you know, you'll find that out quickly. And then you know what? Hey, look, Coach, you have all the experience in the world. Your team's doing great. I hope the best for you in the playoffs. I hope you win it all. I really do.
You as well, Coach.
And you know.
Can I go one last question for both of you
You
guys?
should.
All right. So how long have you been coaching?
I graduated from college in 1987 and been involved in football pretty much every year, except for a couple, during that time. So
Okay, so you're looking 35-ish years.
yeah, somewhere in that.
I feel
neighborhood.
bad. I was born in 85. So the easy math. How long have you been coaching?
I was born in 1980. I graduated in 1998, and I've been coaching varsity football since 2000.
Okay. So
21 years.
take yourself back, get in your Doc Brown and your 88 miles an hour and go
The
in your
DeLorean.
the DeLorean and your flux capacitor. What would you tell yourself back then if you had the opportunity to? You're coach right now, and what would you go back in time? Your first year, your rookie year coaching, what would you tell yourself then?
Why are you
Like
so
that?
soft, Coach Hake?
There it is.
Why aren't you a little bit more amped up?
Have you gone like up in ramping or down?
No, oh no, I think it's all. You know what it is.
Can you imagine him at
He's
18
at
years old?
something that you call terminal velocity.
That's it.
You know what? I think it's all perspective.
Yeah.
You just got to tell. If I go back tell myself anything, it's keep things in perspective.
Love it.
Whether you have success or you don't, because
Yeah.
you don't know, you're young, you don't know, and listen to people. I was fortunate enough. My father was a great teacher and my mentor, and I had Lou Lowry as a head coach. I had Ron Toth, a great coach, and then my dad knew a lot of guys. I was around Phil Inarella. I was around a lot of guys that were football guys since I was a young kid. And you know what? Hey, my thing I would have told myself is just keep listening to them. The guys with experience, listen to them, because sometimes you might think it's I know better.
Yeah.
You don't know better.
Right.
You don't know better. The guys with the experience and that been through it, the wars, and been through the different situations, they know better than you. And it's just listen to them. Listen to them, and then you'll mold yourself the right. You're still going to want to learn the spread. You're still going to want to learn this. You're still going to want to learn stack. You're still going to learn how to work with people. And because in the end, it always comes down to people, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's a people's game.
You win with people, what do you hate?
Well, yeah, forever.
Right,
You know,
right,
and
so-
and that's the truth.
So let's slide it over to you, Coach Harris.
Well, I was trying to process that, and I'm glad Coach Hake went first, but then he stole my line. But I think that learn from the people, learn from your mentors, find a mentor, learn from them, and soak up everything you can. And I've been fortunate to be around, great people. Coach Chomp, George Chomp. I was down at Marshall for a year down there as a GA, and Tom Stacy out at Shelby when he was high school coaching. He's at Ashland now. And then Jim Lout.
Lout's an old-timer.
Bob Altenhoff. And
Altenhoff's an old-timer.
DJ Dodo. Everybody that I was with just, learned something from them and don't think you have the answers, even though you're young and you do. Because everybody that's young thinks that they've got the answers. And the best way to learn is with making mistakes and failure and learning from your failures.
Yep.
So we had a lot of them the first year that wasn't that long ago. We were 2-8, and I feel like I should call and apologize to those kids on the team for what we went through that year. But we got to learn from it, and the seniors this year did, and I think that that's to answer your question. Find a mentor, learn from them, and appreciate the ride, I guess.
I love it.
That's what it's about.
I love it. Two of the greats right here. Coach Harris, who has won seemingly everything except the coin toss this year, apparently. Best of luck to you in the playoffs. We're excited to watch you and follow you.
Best of luck, Coach.
Andy Hake,
Coach.
We get him once a week. My favorite day of the week right here in Kufleitner, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Thanks to John Kufleitner for allowing us to come in and kind of crash the party a little bit. And, of course, thanks to you for watching. That's going to do it for this edition of Coach's Corner. We'll see you next week.
America.
That's my favorite.